and then it'll load. I'll let you know when it's going.
Okay.
All right, hit it, Ron.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Sunday Night Live here with Humanity First Movement. And we're just going to kick back, relax, and just have fun, enjoy each other's company. And we're just glad that you guys took some time out of your day just to come and hang out with us tonight. So for tonight, we have a conversation with Anna Young, community-led basic income project. Link down there below. And she's going to be our guest for tonight. So you guys sit tight as we go through some slides and, just enjoy the ride with us. Okay. Basically, we got an intro coming in. We got some other things that we want to go ahead and get sent out. And so that way you guys are informed of what's going on here with Humanity First, and also what you guys can get done in your other parts of the area where you live at, and see what you can do to get plugged in. Okay, move this over here. So Humanity First Movement is a network of organizations that grew from the grassroots campaign from Angie Yang's 2020 campaign. So pretty much anybody that's gang that we wanted to promote Humanity First initiatives in our various cities, states, counties, wherever we want to get done, that's what we're doing. That's where we're going. That's what we've been doing for the past year, going on 2 years. And so we're growing, we're moving, we're connecting with a lot of different organizations that are trying to make sure, hey, the emphasis needs to get put on people first, not corporations. We need to help out the people, make sure that the people are empowered and know that they have power to go ahead and get these policies, that they don't have to wait for somebody in Congress to do it, that they themselves could do the work for them. Henceforth, Humanity First Movement, this is why we're here. Here are some ways for you to get connected with us. You can join our Slack with the links here. You can find your state groups, so you can connect it with the state groups as well. Also, there's Humanity First, Rapid Response. And so from there, you get plugged in with what's going on in your local area, connect with the local college network. So Grow for America, it's college-based, and they're pretty much trying to get established in as many colleges across the nation as much as possible. If that sounds interesting to you, or if you know somebody that is in college and they want to get linked up with somebody that's promoting positivity and making sure to kind of spread awareness, there you go. You get plugged in there. Also, Humanity Hangs. Get plugged into there. And so a bunch of Yang Gang come together Friday night. Is it Friday nights, if I'm not mistaken? Friday nights? Tuesday nights? If I'm not mistaken.
Varies.
Okay. So it varies. It varies. But again, you can get plugged in there and meet with a bunch of different Yang Gang members from all over the spectrum, where you guys can come, hang out, shoot the breeze, and just have fun and enjoy each other's company. And relive those moments of the Yang 2020 campaign. We're on social media. Woohoo! So follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, on Instagram. Those links are there, so you can go ahead and click those and get linked up with us as well, and just follow us wherever you can. And even if you're not on any of those social networks, that's fine, but still, just get connected somehow, some way. Upcoming board elections. Woo! Yes, we got to hype this up. We got to hype this up. So the upcoming board elections, mind you, dogs they're eating dinner, so excuse them. Upcoming board election is coming up on May 23rd. We will be electing 3 new board members for a 6-month term. The current ones that are completing their terms as the 23rd, we thank you for your service. It does not go unnoticed. So Hannah, Will, and Angela, again, we thank you for your service. We applaud you for what you're doing. And again, it doesn't go unnoticed. Currently serving as of right now up until August 29th, Eileen, Catherine, Megan, and myself, We're here until the 29th of August. And so we're going to keep things moving, shaking, and everything else. So with the requirements of this upcoming election, 6 months. So 23rd of May to the 28th of November. Requirements to run must have attended 3 national meetings in the 3 months prior to election, must be present at the 523 Sunday night meeting and give a 60-second statement. Once you completed those requirements to run, requirements of service, attendance to an average of 10 meetings, plus preparation, daily check-in, presence on Slack, expected commitment is roughly between 10 to 20 hours per week. We get it. We understand folks have lives. We get it and understand that folks have other obligations. But again, if you can make the time commitment work, great. We do have docs for you to reference here below within the slides. So click on those, download those. So at least that way you know what's going on and be made aware of what's expected out of you and go from there. So timeline. So now submit your candidacy. The link is here. If you want to run for those open spots, you can click that link there. On the 19th, the candidacy form closes at 12 midnight Pacific Standard Time, which is probably like 1, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, wherever you're at in between. On Thursday, 5:20, the candidates will be announced in the announcement section. And then from there, that's when we have our live election. So that time is 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And again, wherever you're at in between those times, please feel free to jump in, chime in, and show your support. You know, do what we got to do to keep this moving. All right. Then NABIG Conference Virtual Congress 2021. That is on June 17th through the 19th. Connect with basic income advocates, researchers, activists, artists from all over the United States, Canada, and much, much more. The theme for this one is basic income, knowledge, activism, and policy. Yes, we need that. And then they are accepting submissions for the high school UBI essay program. So if you know a student that's really, really good at writing essays, this is for them. And so there is a cash prize, $300. The deadline to submit that essay is May 21st, 2021. For more information, you can follow the link down here below and also follow them on Facebook and Twitter. And there goes the Twitter handle there. So that way you can be much abreast of what's going on. And even if you don't know anybody that's for the essay writing, at least get plugged in. At the very least, get plugged in, know what's going on, know what's happening, be in the know. So at least that way you can help your community in one way or another. Cash relief advocacy. This is the big one. The child tax credit is a guaranteed income for families. We must make it permanent. Sign the petition. That petition down here is here, and that is coming from Income Movement as well. They're one of the organizations that we're partnering with to go ahead and make this thing become a reality. We know and understand that Andrew Yang, he was pushing for it during his presidential candidacy. He's been doing a humongous work in the city of New York, and also in just various cities and states all across this nation. And so now we have an opportunity to make this a reality. Without him even being in office, we can do this. We have partners that are pushing this. So again, join in the petition, sign, do what you got to do to make this thing become a reality, not only for yourself, but for your neighbors and everybody else that's around you. We also are partnering with Math Movement, Income Movement for letter writing pressure party for stimulus checks. Yes, we understand, we know that putting hands into people's pockets, it does wonders. It puts that stress-free away from them and focus on other things that needs to be done. And so if that's something that you want to do, sign up for. There's the link here for that to get done. Monday, May 10th, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hashtag Make It Monthly Mondays. Let's make it happen. If that's something that you're interested in, sign up. Again, there's more than one way to get plugged in. This is one of those ways. Also, there's also more stuff to come as well. As far as the cash relief advocacy, you can take action with the bailoutpeople.com. Call your local representatives, let them know, hey, we understand that you want to get cash in people's pockets. Well, how about you do so? We checked the roll that you haven't voted on this. How come you haven't done so? Again, put that pressure on them, especially with many of them seeking re-election within the next couple of years. This will probably much be a big push. You got the calling tool here, log in results there. If you don't feel like calling, you can write your representatives with actionnetwork.org. Sign that there. Even writing letters to your editor. That's probably the best thing you could possibly do if you don't want to do anything virtual. If you want to do something more so local to get that word out, there you go. Here, writing tool, you got the video, and then take it to Twitter and say thank you to the advocate. So anybody that's doing that work and everything else, use the hashtag Team UBI and just tell them thank you for their service, thank you for their good work. And again, just keep them encouraged because this is a trying time and a lot of this is done off of people's volunteer time. And so again, just thank them for what they're doing. Also, the Basic Income March planning is this week. The next planning meeting is Wednesday, May 5th, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That link is right there. Basic Income Week starts September 20th through the 26th. Log in there for more information. And then the actual Basic Income March is on the 25th. Sign up with actionnetwork.org and just figure out where you get plugged in, wherever you're at. Make some noise, bring some change. Let's make this thing happen. Democracy reforms. So we have a couple things that's going on. We have Take Action, Represent Us, represent.us. Join the phone bank team. If you like to call people, there you go. That link is here. If you want to attend an event, again, that link is here as well. If you want to join the Action Brigade, get involved, boots on the ground, boom, there you go, right there. And if you want to join their Slack just so you can stay involved, to stay in touch, communicate, and bring more people involved, boom, that link is there for you as well. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to get these policies passed. There's more than one way to make some noise. Candidate support. And Yenny, I'm gonna let you take over this one. I'll work out the slides for you and everything else. Go for it.
So I'm Yenny DeRoche. I am running for Worcester City Council District 5, and I just had ice cream that probably turned my mouth blue if you're seeing any funky colors. So I have a deadline of Tuesday to get all of my signatures in, but with thanks to Catherine, Keith, and Colleen for coming out, I got onto the ballot last week officially with 178 signatures, only needed 100. You guys knocked it out of the park. Thank you so much for coming out to help me gather signatures, doing some door knocking. So right now, what I'm currently doing is wrapping up my listening tour. I'm going to be hosting one more round per precinct, possibly. I'm also going to be shifting when my open office hour meet and greet hours are, as well as my podcast. Currently, those are happening 1 p.m. and 2 to 4 p.m. for the drop-in hours, 1 p.m. for the podcast. But that's completely getting in the way of me being able to go out and do the things I need to do in the community to get my name out. So I'm going to be switching it to probably a weeknight. But I would love to have y'all watch the podcast part, learn a little bit more about what's going on here in Worcester. I go over a lot of local stuff, the different things that the city council and various committees and commissions are doing. I'm also working on a spreadsheet trying to gather all of the information to contact every business in my precincts or in my district. So if anyone has even 5 minutes to Google and try and find one business's email address. Even that amount of time is super helpful. If you go to the next slide. Yeah, so I have a lot of research and data gathering that needs to happen. That is a super big need for me, as is the writing and editing team. I am absolutely great at doing either outlines or major essays with way too much detail. So I need help getting things to come down into that middle range that are perfect for websites and press release type stuff. So if you have an interest in writing or editing, I'd love to have you on board as well. And then I have other opportunities, pretty much anything that you can think of to do on a campaign. If you want to try out an idea, feel free to swing it by me and we can probably help make it happen and see how much of an effect it has on my campaign. I've got a really strong position being one of 4 people for a preliminary election in September. So I hope I will have your support and help. This week we're doing Saturday 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern for my phone banking session hours. So I hope that you'll connect with me there. If you go to bit.ly/VYV, those are capitals, and then volunteer. Just finish out the word volunteer, and those are in lowercase. Bitly makes it case sensitive. Yeah. So I hope to see folks come on board. Thank you.
Sweet. Awesome. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And again, we're going to help you get across that finish line. And if you guys haven't checked out, she was on the Melanated Council of Yang last week on Tuesday. We had her on, and so watch that show, watch that episode, and again, help out as much as you can. And if you can't do any of that, donate. Please donate. If you can help out one way or another, donations are greatly appreciated. Just plug it in.
Yeah, definitely. Donations. I'm pretty much at $1 per door for mailers. So you helping me by donating $5 gets me access to 5 more people, 5 more households even. And I only need around 3,000 households to win. Voters rather, not households. I'm flip-flopping things. So every little bit you donate is going direct to voter outreach, and it makes a big impact. So thanks.
Okay. All right. And then we got Andrew's campaign running for mayor. So you can follow him on Twitter, Yang for NY, volunteer for his campaign as well, yangforny.com. Team Yang weekly meets and greets Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That link is here. Connect with the New York chapter in itself, ny.hfmovement.org/volunteer. So that way you get plugged in, trying to see if there's any other information. Nope. And so again, help our man out. Help our man out get across that finishing line. And do what you can. Round up your relatives. Let them know, like, hey, Yang's running for mayor. He's trying to get some stuff going for you guys. Boom. Let them know what's going on. And now, I'm going to be done talking for this portion. Hannah, do you want to introduce our guest speaker of the night?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I met Anna doing some UBI advocacy on Clubhouse, and she talked about this micro UBI pilot that she started herself, and we just had a really great conversation about the ideology behind it, or the theory behind it, I guess, and also the way that she executed. And I thought it was really great. And yeah, just want to introduce Anna Young to the community. Welcome.
Cool. Hey, I feel like it's not a big enough project to warrant such nice graphic design, but I'm thankful for whoever put it together. So hey, yeah, I'm Anna. I live in New York. I grew up in North Jersey, though, so that's where the project takes place. It sort of came about, I was really interested. I've been interested in UBI for a long time. I read, Yang's book last winter when he was running for president, and I was like totally sold. I think like pretty much everybody on this call. A little bit about me is that I'm a special education teacher. I teach 8th grade ICT ELA, and I love my job. I love what I do, and it doesn't really get us anywhere, and it's not, it's not the kids, it's not the families, it's not the work ethic of the teachers who work in the schools every day. It's just like the lack of cash that families have to like get through the weeks and get through the months to take care of their kids on their own without institutions. And so this project kind of came about, from coming from that lens of thinking about families, thinking about kind of like how intrusive some of our social service systems are, having worked in the nonprofit, industrial complex myself, and seeing who it rewards and who are the same people who still need support year after year, decade after decade, century after century. And then also just seeing and reading about these incredible results coming out of basic income that totally put all of the power into people's hands and allow people their privacy and their just choices and their lives, right? So when the pandemic started, I left New York and I grew up like 30 minutes away in the suburbs. So I went back and I was staying with my parents. And that area specifically is, lauded for being very diverse, but it's really not diverse. It's segregated. And you'll be just in a suburban area, driving down the street and you have the housing projects here. You drive literally half a mile and someone's living in a $5 million mansion. And it became sort of like just really just disgusting to me to see that level of wealth when people literally down the street, right, are lining up around the block, right, at the food pantry. The food pantry is totally like overwhelmed. The community's in disarray, like the cops are out every night. And it was just really heartbreaking for me to see that and also to see how people within that community decided like, oh, we're going to take care of our clan. We're going to take care of our family. Like, this is a disaster. We're going to look inwards, right? Instead of looking out for their neighbors. So this project came from that. And I kind of just like, was like, oh, it's like only going to last a month or 2 months, like 2 months. Let's see how it works out. And what I did was I just organized, I started up with the money up front for myself because I was like, I'm invested in, putting my money first. Right. And, I knew how I wanted to do it. And so I, got in touch with a food pantry in the area. And I was like, hey, this is something I'm interested in doing. I want to give one client $300, and I had enough in my savings. I was like, I can do it for like 2 months, 3 months, right? Like, this is something I'm dedicated to. And so we were like, okay, one client for 3 months. And so I was like, I'm personally going to make that commitment. And so we put everything together. They chose the clients. So the families, the only requirements was they had to either be Black or Latina mothers with young children, and have been in the community for, I think, around like 5 years. We said there wasn't a cutoff. And the food pantry from those criteria picked like the mothers who were who would need the most support. So I don't even like know who they are. I don't know their names. Their privacy is like totally supported. They've been working with as clients of the food pantry for many years. So they have those strong relationships. And my job was not to like enter that relationship, right? It was just to facilitate, a resource transfer. So then on my side, I like make my personal donation. And from there, I was able to sort of like reach out to more people and like get more people involved and be like, the infrastructure is already set up. We've already done this. All you have to do is Venmo me some money. And people did it, you know, and it has turned into, you know, it's going to end up being a 24-month project at the end of the day. And we have 2 clients. So it's been 2 clients at $300 each. And I can't afford to make the whole donation myself anymore, but I've gotten like way more supporters. So, and it's all 100% like direct cash. It was a lot of work up front, but now it's really, really easy because we invested in community partners who already work with the women like so closely. I don't really have to do anything. Like they're already doing everything, you know? So the other part of it is that they, you know, they have themselves, like the community partners, been totally like evangelized to UBI because they're like, we've been working in the community for 25 years and nothing changes. It doesn't matter how, if we give people a bag of groceries, it doesn't matter. We're like working our tails off to get women diapers, to get people formula, to get people all these things. And it's the same clients year after year. And we can't break the cycle. Like nothing is changing. And they were like, this is changing it. And they themselves, they're like in their 70s. They're all like into UBI now, you know, these ladies. And it's amazing. And so I have just, you know, the project, like it took sort of a leap of faith, but it really was successful because basic income is successful. You know, it's like, it's the proof of the theory, right? So I would really like, if you're interested, so where we're at right now is like, I'm not really like expanding the program anymore. And there are, you know, a few reasons for that. The biggest one is that, or really the only one, is that the partner that I work with, they can't put their name out there because they are so overwhelmed with COVID relief that they cannot take on another project. They can't like take on media. They can't take on like, so I can't even put their name in the newspaper about like doing this project. And I can't even advertise the project at all. So like my own fundraising is really, like there's a limit to like how many friends I have who owe me $20, you know? And it's kind of capped, right? Because I can't do that sort of outreach. However, you know, I realized that the expansion is not from making my demonstration bigger, it's from replication. So I've been in conversations with Hannah and from other folks from Income Movement. And the goal is now that we're going to start doing workshops, and I'm going to like work with people and try to set up a little network of micro demonstrations, you know, in different cities around the country and just like small towns that never get the resources, you know, to try to show like you can literally be a teacher and do this work. It doesn't have to be done, you know, always at the city level, even though all these pilots are amazing. It can literally be done on your block, you know, and it's really just taking what we already know about mutual aid, right? Hundreds of years of mutual aid, thousands of years of mutual aid, right? And just fusing it with UBI principles. And that's what makes it just like such an easy project, you know, because you're taking community networks, community support that already exists and applying cash grants, which we know work. So, you know, I don't know, that's where we're at. And yeah, the goal is to like sort of mentor other people to start these projects. I know that like a lot of people have tried to do this and maybe haven't, you know, had the same results. And the thing is like, everybody is going to come up with a different roadblock when you do a community project. And it's really just about creating a network of support and trying to figure it out together. But this is sort of like a new place, a new territory. And so like we can help each other out. All right, that's all I have. If anyone has any questions or wants to, you know, get in touch about participating in one of the workshops, just, go to that website, and I'll also put my email address in the chat.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Anna. Yeah, so I have some questions for you. So about how many donors are currently involved in the project, and what did the outreach for that kind of look like?
So I think it's probably around 15 people right now, and there's small donations, but the donations are like, they have all said that there is no timeline. Like, as long as I run the project, they will give $20 a month, $40 a month, like no questions asked. So, which has been amazing. And I think that really shows the power of just like small donations, as people are really willing to just, give continuously. People have like come in and out of the project, and some people have been like, oh, this is like on the DL, so I don't get a tax write-off. And it's like, yeah, you don't. And then, I think that for me, I actually like kind of did the hard sell for a few people, but something that was sort of amazing that happened was, I mean, you guys know what the temperature is right now. People are very frustrated. They know that money is not getting into the communities, and they see the same things happening over and over again. So, I had a few friends who just like mentioned it to their family members, and all like their grandmas started giving money. Like people I've never met give like $10, and so like you don't have to necessarily call it UBI, but people are super, down to support it, who you may not even know.
Sweet. Awesome. Let's see. I know, Keith, did you still have a question that you want to ask?
Sure. Yeah, so first off, like, huge props to you. This is just so cool and very inspiring, and just very cool in its its simplicity, and like clearly it's working, and just amazing to hear that it's going on for I think you mentioned 24 months. So yeah, totally great work. So my question is, I'm just curious, like, what the process for kind of selecting the food pantry was like, and like maybe if you kind of looked or contacted multiple at to kind of figure out like which would be kind of amenable to that idea, and what their initial reactions were like, and kind of what that conversation for you was like. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I personally like totally lucked out. I picked the organization that, because like me and my family, like we've like all done work in the community. So I already knew the organizations that were working. Like I already knew it about like who to call, So I called them up. I didn't like talk to a bunch of people. The biggest issue was that, or not the biggest issue, but they did have to have like the board come together to sort of like, I don't know, these organizations, like they talk for hours, right? And they, because of the work that they do, they did have a policy against cash distribution. Like it wasn't allowed because they serve so many people that they just had to create that personal boundary when it came to cash. And because of this project, they had to like eliminate that rule. They were like, we can't turn this away. So I think that maybe like that may be the one thing that when you're looking at organizations, some of them just may be like, we can't like have the community thinking we can give everybody cash because we just don't have the resources for it. And they, that's another reason it's really like on the DL, is because they, we can only fund 2 women, unfortunately, we can't fund the whole community. So, those are 2 of the challenges that have come up. But like, it's definitely the most important thing is picking the partner organization, because that is sort of like I mean, it's all based on trust, right? So, you know, the people who are donating, they trust me to pass the money along. And then I trust the organization. And I trust the organization because like I can go out on the street twice a week and see them in the community like all day long giving out groceries. And like I know that they're doing it, right? Have I been at the transaction? No, right? But I just trust the work that they do. So that's like the most, I would say it's the most important part. I was lucky, but I would have, if I were going to replicate it, it's definitely like an area to research for sure.
Very cool. Thank you.
I got a question for you. I know you said that the program is going to last up until like 24 months. What is there a specific dollar amount to keep it going? And if so, what is that dollar amount? And would that dollar amount be able to have more people involved in the project?
Yeah, so I wish, you know, the other part, so this is sort of related, right? Is the other part of the community, like, or the community partner decision that ended up being lucky is that they are actually pretty well resourced. So it's like an interfaith coalition, and there's a lot of like within their organization, a lot of like churches and synagogues that all like support this one food pantry. So they can go to all of their people. And so when I pitched it to them, you know, last summer, the conversations were, we're going to try this out. And if it's successful, we will then be able to go to our funders and implement it on a way bigger scale. Because like we know people who have money if we can show that it works. Now, no one expected COVID to like last this long, you know, if we're talking about last June, and they just don't have the like bandwidth to create a whole other program, especially when, you know, these nonprofits are, a lot of them are old ladies, right? So like they're not even, they can't even leave their houses because they all have like pre-existing conditions, you know, like and so it, like they're, you know, I wish that we could get way, way more money. And, but I do have faith that when this demonstration is over, they will pick it up for me, right? Which is why it was like, okay, let's do another year and then you guys take it away from me. Like the goal is not for me to like be in charge of something or, you know, be a leader or whatever. I just like wanted to create this and show that it could, you know, it could exist. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I get it. And the reason why I ask is because I know a lot of people that are looking to like donate to what you're doing. And I know a lot of times for most people that I know, you know, if there's like a specific goal that's in mind, they have no problem doing that. And even if it's something bigger, you know, again, that conversation in itself they can have to be able to say, not to say like they've done something, but in a way to give back to the community, because they're all about empowering people, making sure that people are taken care of and know that at the end of the day that they're giving back. And so that does help out. And then especially if I could get a hold of people that live in that Jersey area that wants to partner with you, I can spread that message. I can spread that message for you. So at least that way you have a lot more potential, especially before this program runs out, because I think it's unique. It's unique in its own way. And I think getting enough people behind it will help you a lot. And even if it means, you know, taking it off of you and have somebody else do it, cool, because now you can focus on doing something else to help funnel that process all over with. So you answered it. Great. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, if you know people in Jersey.
Yes. Anybody else have any? Keith, is that a legacy hand up, or do you have another question?
Nope, new question.
Go for it.
So I was wondering if maybe you've gotten any indication that like some maybe any local politicians in your community have kind of taken notice of this program, or maybe someone even has like brought up UBI, and like wouldn't be surprised if maybe they've brought it up because of the work that you're doing. So just curious if you think anyone in elected position has kind of taken notice.
No. However, like it is like really like that was one of the requirements, is that like the community organizations are just doing the work that the federal government should be doing, right? All the food distribution that is not taking place from the federal government or from the states is like happening in the churches and the synagogues, right? And so it was like, that was a requirement, was because they're just like, they don't have the bandwidth, that it had to be like super, super secret. But like, I will say that part of the choice that I ended up lucky with the organization is that like when they are ready, they will be able to do that. Like they do work, they already work with the mayors. They work with like the city of Newark, right, for other projects. Because a lot of these, it's like a small suburb of Newark, New Jersey. So, I don't really know a lot about I don't know a lot about a lot of things,
sleep.
but I'm trying to like think of the subject. But basically, like something that we've seen in the cities is that because of gentrification, that the cities are losing a lot of like our low-income families, right? And they're moving into the suburbs, and suburbs are now dealing and like kind of like rural areas with increasing poverty. So you have like the suburbs I'm talking about that are low income, high poverty areas, and they're kind of like smaller areas outside of, like my specific city is Newark, New Jersey. So they're all kind of like in coalition with each other. Newark is starting its own pilot, like looking into doing its own pilot. So they're all in dialogue, and like once they're able to talk about it, hopefully, hopefully it'll have all been worth it, at not just that, of course, it's worth it for the women, but like at this like more political level. However, like I will say that was my problem, like that was my obstacle. Everyone is going to have a different obstacle. So if you're working with an organization, and that may be, if you replicate it as part of your, selection process, is like, we have to be able to like put this project on blast, like talk about it in the local newspaper, like write op-eds, put it in like Patch or whatever, all those online like local journals and projects, and just get the word out really, really quickly. And I think that this project is like really good for that. But for me personally, I couldn't do that. But that doesn't mean that other people can't,
Very cool. Yeah, thanks so much.
I need sleep.
Any more questions? Because I mean, what you said there was key, and that was actually going to be my next question to you. Is like, what kind of media attention that's been coming your way, and if there's something that we could do on our end to help fan out that information, we could be glad to do that. And again, you answer that by getting on social media and whatnot, and
it's funny, I actually don't have any social media.
yeah, no social media.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the funny thing is that it's actually, it's really comes back to that like community level, right? Like social media did not get me $1 for this project. Like when I did have social media, I was like posting all the time and like doing all this stuff. Like I never I never got like any attention. I never got like any money from that. All of it came from one-on-one conversations. And like when you're able to facilitate those one-on-one conversations, those people could then have that one-on-one conversation with somebody else. And so then there was kind of like a ripple effect of getting more funders because of the conversations. But I got like, oh, good for you. Like good effort out there, from social media. But I know, because a lot of people like don't really get it unless you like really talk to them. But I would I think that, if we got $1 million, I would quit my job and manage $1 million grant, right? I wouldn't quit my job, but that's not even, I don't think that is necessarily where the movement needs to go. Like, I think that people in rural areas, in suburban areas, need to see that this policy, this type of program can really benefit their community, like firsthand, right? And getting people to know that it works. And so that's why I think it's more like the replication level, than necessarily the like expansion.
Oh no, for sure, for sure. And I totally get where you're coming from, because I do live in a rural city, and thank you, Angela, the proof of concept, yes, that is huge, because there's many people who I know in the city that I live in is like, yeah, the resources is there, but at the same time, because of how small the city is and how many people need the same resources, it tends to get, I want to say run dry, but spread thin. And so they have to rely on outside agencies to kind of help them funnel those resources in order for them to help them out. But even then, majority of the time, they're told to go outside because the caseload they can't have, or not necessarily have, but they can't bear because of the lack of resources. And so I just trying to brainstorm just to kind of help you out and everything else. So yeah.
And the other great thing about doing it, the way that I did it, is that it doesn't affect their benefits. I think that's something that has been, a big, I'm not going to say a problem, but definitely an area that needs to be navigated for the more, the more formal projects. And when you're just doing it like for literally the people, in your neighborhood, and it's a plus, it's not, you don't have to do any weighing of like, what am I going to lose? Yeah.
Agreed. Does anybody else have any questions or comments?
I've also seen some folks like your private messages. I would definitely talk more, but just send me an email, because I think all the messages will delete after we close the call. So just email me.
Yeah, and that email is up there.
Yeah, I can post it again.
Yeah. Let's see. Yep, we got that coming for you.
Yeah, my computer is kind of on the fritz, so I'm on my phone right now.
Oh, we get it. That was like me earlier. It was like I couldn't get into the Slack. Like, holy cow, what's going on? So I had to close out my browser, almost log out of Slack just to get re-logged back in. It was terrible. But we got it working. So yeah. So anybody, you guys, you have any more questions on whatever the case may be, as far as helping Anna out, her email address is listed in the chat. I wasn't going to say below. I'm thinking YouTube, but it's in the chat. So you guys go ahead and ask her any questions. Any of you guys know people that you should get in contact with that lives in the area, that's awesome. That's great. Because again, this is one thing that needs to get that attention, and hopefully have those conversations with the right people, so that way, if they do have those resources, if they know somebody with those resources, they can get that funnel, you know?
Yeah. I'll also say, like, most people, most people are familiar with this in other words. So when I speak to particularly Asian American or Caribbean communities or other immigrant communities, like, they know what cash distribution is and helping people out. That is something that is like how Asian American community, like that's like the foundation, right, of Koreatowns and Chinatowns, like for like over 100 years. And so people like know what it is, and it's just sometimes taking out the term UBI and just being like, we're trying to make, this thing that we've done for a really long time, like into, something that the town funds or the city funds. And I guess I don't know why I was thinking of that. I just don't think it's not a foreign idea. It's not a new idea. It's some new words, but people are really open to it, especially if you talk them through. And I think that, a lot of groups really are seeing their cities and their towns hurt. People with money don't want to live in a city like New York right now. The crime is like, it's really disturbing, the rising crime, and no one wants to live in a city where people are so forced into the margins that tensions are constantly boiling. And you look at the money that is put into nonprofits and it doesn't work, and you say, okay, you have some wealth, like, let's do something that does work. And I think that folks are like really ready for that.
Great point. It's definitely great point.
I could keep talking about UBI for like this, like all night long. So you just have to be like, all right, it's time it's like 9:30 Eastern time. It's time for you to go to bed.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. It is, and it's crazy because it's like, when we talk about UBI, we talk about the benefits of what it can do and what it can bring. A lot of people, they first they don't think about it, and then once you put a scenario in front of them, like, say if you have an unexpected bill that just showed up out of nowhere, and you even know you got your check, you paid all your bills, and then boom, you get hit with something else. Do you have the necessary funds in your account to cover for that one bill? Or even if, let's say, your tire goes out, you got engine problems. Do you have enough money saved aside for that? Yes or no? Average person would say, no, I wouldn't have that. Well, you get X amount, that's going to help you out. That's what's going to either make sure that you're able to go to work and do what you got to do. That's even if you have an emergency where you have to go to the hospital, heaven forbids, but you still have that extra to do what you got to do. And so now it's like, oh, okay, then it kind of does make sense, And I know the pushback is, oh, what if they use it for drugs, or what if they use it for this, what if for anything bad? It's like, okay, that's their choice. How in the world are you going to put a limit on what they're going to do with it? That's like saying you go into the store and the store owner says, oh, you can only get one vegetable for today. And that's it. Even though you got to get greens, corn, potatoes, things of that nature, but you only get one. And that's it. Like, no. Let them do what they got to do with it. I mean, heck, for crying out loud, that $300 could be used for them to get therapy or for them to get access to rehab. We don't know. Give them the resources. Let them figure out what they want to do for themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
100% agree. I used to have this joke. It was funny when I was like trying to convince my mom, because my mom grew up, and it's funny, she was like, of everybody, the biggest detractor. And she was the one who was pushing me and like, this isn't going to work. This is like, you need to focus on your graduate school or whatever, you know? And my mom grew up in a situation, they were, you know, incredibly poor. My grandmother had addiction issues. She was a single mom. It was really, really rough. My mom has like worked since she was 14. And she was the one who was like, if grandma had that money, she would have used it to like buy more alcohol. And it's really like those narratives are deeply entrenched, you know, even in people who want to see like the upliftment of their communities have so much like pain, you know, and associated with poverty, right? And you know, I kind of like invested in that conversation with my mom because that's like a different conversation. And so, you know, I would make this joke and be like, but my sister's been on UBI for like 5 years, you know? I was like, Julie, you don't have like Juliet's on, she's been on this basic income since she graduated college. And it's funny, but it's like, my mom was like, oh, like, why would I police, you know, other women who are in the situation that my mother was in, who had no resources? And yet, like, I've raised these entitled kids like me. You know, and that's a very, you know, that's a privileged conversation that we have in my household, but it's kind of funny, but we never talk about like, you know, the wealthy are on UBI and have they made bad choices? And if you were a mother with 5 kids, like, would you, or 1 kid or no kids, right? Maybe you're not a mother. Is that what you would do with the money?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh no, you're for sure. And again, you know, that same narrative goes like, well, the wealthy is on a UBI. You know, we don't tell them what they can and cannot do with their own money. I mean, half the time it is really just, you know, residual from, you know, great granddad when he made that initial investment, and they're just reaping the benefits of it, you know. But we don't tell them we can't tell them. No, we don't tell them, hey, you can't buy that 2022 Ferrari. No, you can't do that. It's like, screw you. We're going to do it anyways. You know, who are you to tell me what I can and cannot do? You know,
Yeah.
Same principles applies. Any other questions?
Yeah, I had a
Ronald, are
question
you running
about.
for office? Oh, sorry.
No, that's a good question. I want to hear this.
Did you hear my question? I said, are you running for office?
Me?
Yeah.
Wow, this keeps coming back to me full circle. Oh, no. I'm serious. There's a young lady out in California. Name is Erica Rhodes. She's running for office, and we've had this conversation more than once. She's like, you know, hey, you gonna run for office? I'm like, as of right now here in Michigan, yes, don't get it twisted, Megan. I'm still thinking about it. It's just right now with the redistricting of the districts here in Michigan, they take it so long that I won't know what district I'm in until the end of the year. And that's at the earliest. And so it's like, with that going on, it's like, okay, you know, I would love to run for like, you know, county commission and whatnot, but at the same time, because the lines are going to be redrawn again, I don't know if I'll be running in my current county or if it's going to get cut in half, where half my county is in one district and the other half is in a different district. So it's totally like totally up for grabs, you know. And I know there's a friend of mine, buddy of mine named Boyce. He lives in, it's not Cass, I think it's like Berrien Springs County. It's like, no, not in Idaho. He's in, yeah. Boys, mindful skeptics. He lives in 2 counties away from me, but at the same time, the same rules applies for him as well. He doesn't know that once the lines have been redrawn, if he's going to be part of my county, and what's that going to create? Or if half of his is going to get cut off to who knows what. So it's a lot that's going on. There's a lot going on. Again, we got Yeni, she's running, and everybody else. Reverend Wendy, she's running. There's a bunch of people that I support that are running as of right now, and I help them out as much as I possibly can. And so it was like, am I thinking about it? Yes. And I know since you've mentioned it and since other people have mentioned it, it's like I might as well just go ahead and figure out what I got to do to fill out the paperwork and just get it done, because this is one of those things I am passionate about. Because again, I didn't grow up poor necessarily, but I know what it feels like to be without. I know what it feels like to not have enough, or you just barely have enough to be able to say, okay, we have a roof over our head for one more month, and then the next month, who knows? And even then, that's not always a guarantee. There's so much of this. Stop it, Hannah.
Hannah has this like all-knowing like lip purse right now. She's like,
Listen. If she keeps this up, I'm gonna have her a spot on my campaign. How about that? She's like, yeah, whatever. I love it. But no, it's just one of those things where it's like, I know nobody's really going to bring it up to surface, and so it's like, okay, if I got enough energy to go ahead and get this done, might as well. Let's roll the dice, see what happens. Oh, I believe it. Oh, I believe it. We got a question. Hold on. Before we get to yours, Hannah, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question about like the next steps. So I know you talked about some workshops happening. I know you're probably gonna present at the NABIG conference. I'm gonna send you that email soon. So how do we keep track of that? Like, how do we make sure that we know what's going on next with you?
yeah, well, definitely just send me your email. And then I think that's what's going to happen with like, I have a meeting this week when I confirm the workshop dates. So what I'll probably do is just like make a little post about what the dates are and how to log on, and then send it over to you guys so we can stay in touch. Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, the NABIG conference. I'm going to do like the whole thing there.
Nice. Let's see. Gray, he has one. Do you want me to say it, Gray, or you want to chime in? How you want to do it, buddy?
You could just say it, Ron.
Okay. All right. So Gray's question says, Gray's question is, for you, Anna, what would make this project a success?
I feel like it's already a success. Like, I mean, well, it's sort of like it's a success and it will sort of never be a success. I mean, there's this issue where, not issue, but we know that families escape poverty in generations, right? So no matter what, the families I work with are they're not going to escape poverty, I don't want to like foreshadow that or say that firmly, but based on their present situation and just knowing, having worked with families for a long time, I'm a little older than I look, that it cycles, right? And so their children will have a shot. And so in terms of success, there's this sort of like reality that, this amount of money is not going to be the change, right? But it may be the thing that keeps the floor from sinking. And so for me, that's success already. I also think, like you guys said, proof of concept, like we know it works. We know that we can easily facilitate it. And that was one of the reasons why I did it. I wanted to show people that, like, I was like, I know this will work, and it does work, And the other part is that now that we're in that replication phase, like I would love to see like other projects that do the same thing in whatever way they want to do, and create a network and a support system, and kind of like really do authentic grassroots politics, right? Where we're not like going into towns and like door knocking and saying like, this will help you, but really showing people in communities, this is what our community can be. And I think that illustration is just so powerful, and that comes from replication. And then obviously, like I said before, it would be successful if the nonprofit that I work with would be able to take it on. And honestly, like, this is gonna sound kind of crazy. I want like nonprofits to like dissolve themselves, if that makes sense. Like that is the success, is if the food pantry no longer exists, right? Because the community is self-sufficient and they're doing direct cash relief. That will never, I'm not gonna say, I'm like smiley, but I'm very deeply cynical also. So, that is like ultimately the goal, right? Because you should not be paying an outsider $70,000 to like give kids, like I've worked in these spaces to like give kids college advice, when you could distribute $70,000 to the community and having parents work with their own kids. Especially now, it's like schools are just so dysfunctional, and we always knew the first school was the home. The first school is the house. And now you don't even have a second school, right? We don't know when everyone's going back. So it's really time to empower parents. It was always time to empower parents, but now it could never be more clear.
Agreed. And then Hannah, she asked, Hannah, do you want to ask?
I had a bad experience in college with leadership positions. Like everyone's always trying to like come at you, when you get the job. I kind of like being a little like just doing my thing and making my contribution. And I don't need all the hate, Hannah. That comes. Maybe Ronald is very charming. I don't know. Yeah.
That's funny. I don't know if I'm that charming, but it's like I know what's wrong with what's wrong. And I know if there's a solution to solve it, let's get it done. There's been times where I've looked at the minutes for the county commissioners board and even the city commissioners board, and it's like, what are we doing? How come there's no talks of this being done or that being done? There's talks of being this done. How come we couldn't have that redirected somewhere else? And it's like it irritates me, because it's like you grew up here. Most of the time you guys grew up here. You see what's wrong, but how come you don't do anything about it? And even then, it's like, I wouldn't necessarily I grew up here, but I see the issues, and it's like it hasn't changed. And like, what is it going to take for you to do that? What is it going to take for you to wake up and smell the coffee? And I don't know. I guess when we look back and we say that, okay, it's the younger generation that's going to be the change. Like, I get that, let's get these old heads out and let's do it.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I love like what you're doing, because I think that that's just the major problem with our political system, is that we don't value local leadership. And we really need to invest in our small town mayors and our city councils and our school boards. Like, do people go out and vote for the school board that make all the decisions about their children's education? No. Like, one of my first jobs out of college was working for my local newspaper, covering the Board of Education. So I used to go to like these like late meetings, and people would be saying wild things at these Board of Ed meetings, and no one like pays any mind to like the folks who are deciding like everything about their life at the local level. And I think it's really, really important. Yeah, but politics isn't for me. If like, I'm sure you guys have a similar perspective, but if seeing the way that Andrew Yang has been attacked, it's like, it's like, I don't have that thick of skin. I'm very sensitive. And I've just been it's like really nauseating. Like that Daily Show Twitter thing, I was like, this is not okay. So yeah, I mean, and it sucks. Like that's what happens as you see how people are treated, and like a lack of like there's this like strong assumption that he's like not earnest, or he's not genuine. And he's a politician, right? All politicians have a will to power. But are we so cynical, that, yeah.
I feel you. I feel you. No, I feel you. I do. And it's funny because you say you're sensitive and anything else. Like, take with grace. That's probably like the most I can say is take it with grace. I mean, yes, you're going to have people throw mud at you at the end of the day. We get it. People are going to throw dirt on you one or two ways. Either they're going to throw dirt on you while you're above ground, or they're going to throw dirt on you when you're below ground. Either way, make that dirt work for you. And so when they throw dirt on you now, they can't say much but positivity, like, hey, she did the one thing that nobody else didn't bother to do. So it's like, we're going to pay our respects to you, and we're going to still give you your flowers, whether while you're still living or when you're gone, because what you did for the community, that's going to last a lot. Yes. Oh, yes. Make some bricks. Yes. Make it strong. Like, okay, I got you. I got these bricks with your name on it.
Do you throw the bricks back, Ron?
Well, I don't know if I can like accurately say yes or no, but if I had to, depends. Because I've been told that these are hard like bricks, so I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, you build stairs with them.
Well, yeah, I built floors too, but that's a different story. That's a different story. Oh man, I love this conversation. Love having you on. Is there anybody else that has a comment or a question? Because I know what's going on 10 o'clock. It's like 9:54. And I know folks got to work and all that other good stuff, get ready for work. Is there anything else anybody would like to ask before we depart?
Not a question, but I just want to say I'm really looking forward to the NA Big presentation and the workshop. Like, I have a ton of questions, but I'm just going to wait until that stuff because I know you'll be sharing in the future. But thank you so much for sharing everything with us. And it's really wonderful to see.
Yeah, thank you for listening. This is like, I've told Hannah, I'm so grateful for this because before I met Hannah, like I didn't know about you all. And like I didn't know about I had gone to an income movement march before, but we hadn't really stayed in touch or anything. And like most people who I would talk to about my project would be like, oh yeah, like interesting, good for you for trying, and like yes, I had my supporters, but you do get a lot of no's, and even like amongst my supporters, like I'm the leader, right? So I'm not necessarily like in dialogue with the other folks who contribute. So being part of this group has just, and like meeting Hannah and meeting like other folks has just been given me like a lot to look forward to. So thanks for having me.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. If all hearts are clear and if nobody has any further questions, again, Anna, shout out to you to what you're doing. We appreciate you. We applaud you. And we're going to do what we can to make sure we get the right people having the right conversations at the right time. And so, again, whatever you would like for us to do, let us know. We got you. Because, again, if you're doing it in your community, we can replicate it in our other communities and show like, it can be done. It just takes a lot of willpower and a lot of people to think outside of themselves and think about the community first. So again, we thank you. We applaud you. I thank you, applaud you, and keep it up.
Thank you, everybody. All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. I'll come back again. And thanks for having me.
All righty. So this is Humanity First Movement Sunday Night Live. We are out of here. Ladies and gentlemen,